There he goes.
Awesome. I'd like to welcome you to the Monday, December 5th Park and Rec Commission meeting. We're starting the meeting at 6:33. No one in the audience for questions for us or anything, so we'll move over to correspondence. We have one from Julia Varillo with a request that her family would like to donate a little free library and place it at Chaffinch. They did include a picture of the library that they would like to purchase and put at Chaffinch. Is there any questions, concerns, or comments about placing it there? Oh, yeah. We can discuss it later on in the agenda. Thank you, Kathy. That's why you're here. There's no other correspondence, so moving along to approval of the minutes from the November 7th meeting.
I just have one correction.
Sure.
My last name is spelled with an S and an S.
Perfect. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended by Susan Welsh.
Second it.
Second.
Sue seconded it. Were there any other? That was a good second. Any other questions, changes, comments about the minutes?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor of the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Laura abstains as she wasn't.
I got very punctual.
Then we'll review the expenditures for November.
Rick, anything out of the ordinary?
No, just want to point out on page 2, there's a whole bunch of electric wholesale, and I checked in on that. Those, a whole bunch of them are $76. Those aren't duplicates. It was the light bulbs that are above your head there, in the Penobscot room and the Quantapug room. You notice the lighting is so much better. Remember, we had one of the meetings there, and it was pretty dark. So they were only able to sell us 2 bulbs at a time for some reason, and so I think it's 12 bulbs maybe altogether between that room and the Quantapug. And so they aren't duplicates. They were all separate bills for the bulbs were like $37 or $38 a piece or something. But I wanted to point that out. They'll do it because I looked at it and I said, man, these look like they're duplicates, but they weren't. They billed us for every 2. The other one, there's a bunch from Kinsley Energy. We had some major problems with the generator. There's something called a transfer switch that's in the back electrical room that actually flames are coming on it. And that runs the generator, and that had to get repaired. And there was somehow there was a water leak in the tank of the generator. And actually the fire department paid for that. They got a new tank that got put in there. But Kinsley is the contractor we had for any maintenance to the generator. So there were a lot of repairs that had to be done, all related to that, whatever that issue was or whatever caused it to start smoking. So those are some bills that we don't expect. Those are kind of emergency repairs.
Do we have, Rick, do we have insurance that covers any major things like this?
Yeah, no, I think it's like a minimum. I think it's either $5,000 or $10,000 deductible.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Rick, the regional restrooms, those are all the porta-johns?
Yeah, that was Concans. They got bought out by this company called Regional Restrooms, but yes, those are all porta-johns. And I asked Jen to double check for me because they're all supposed to be taken out, almost all of them, November 18th. And I think that if we even have them for 3 or 4 days in the month, you still get charged for the month anyway. But I asked her to double check that for me. Because really, if the bill date was from November 11th through, I think December like 11th or something, and they were taken out or should have been taken out November 18th. Most of them. I leave the one at the Adams tennis courts because our pickleball program is there till late December. and the ones at the high school we leave till December, because those tennis lights are on till like around December 20th. And there are a couple that stay year round, like the dog park, the marine, not the marine, I'm sorry, the dog park, and Bittner, I think. But anyway, the bills will be a lot less going forward for the rest of the winter from that company.
Rick, a question for you. Bittner softball lights, does that include the lights for the soccer field for the high school games?
Yeah, yeah. They're all on the same meter.
That's it.
Okay, we had a motion to approve the expenditures for November.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Any other questions, concerns, comments?
So Claire, it would be the net amount, the 131,845.11. Because there's one credit, there's one.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Right along. The department reports. We are lucky to have Ellen here, so she want to talk about yours first, Ellen?
Sure, Claire. Everything with recreation is going well. The winter brochure was released, registration started. We're offering over 75 programs. This past Friday, along with the tree lighting, we had our Soup and Santa's workshop. We had 60 families that came through. It was a fantastic night. We had the visit with Santa. We had little snowmen luminaries that we made, and then provided grilled cheese, tomato soup. Very successful night. Up at the green, we had the horse-drawn carriage rides. Those were very successful. People were very pleased with them. It's certainly a very nice ambiance taking that ride around the Guilford Green. Gingerbread contest, we have 8 submissions that are down in the Sachem room. So people have been voting on those over the last week or so. And then new this year, we're doing a holiday food drive in conjunction with social services, where each day in December, it's a different item that we're collecting. And we thought that it was fun to bring back the gingerbread house that the park staff made for us a few years ago. So it's out in front of the community center, and the sign indicates what item we're looking for each day. You open up the red door, you put in your item, and then on December 23rd, we will donate everything to the Guilford Food Bank. So really exciting. It's been fun to see the parents coming in.
The video is very cute.
Yes, Victoria did a very nice job. And then both Taryn and Victoria, Victoria started about 6 months ago, and she has certainly transitioned nicely. And I think that the 3 of us complement each other, and we certainly are having a lot of fun coming up with new ideas and thinking outside the box, and continuing to provide as many programs as we can for the Guilford community and beyond.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Rick, anything to touch base on anyone else that stood out? Because otherwise we'll take them as read like normal.
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention under Todd's, I don't know if we had talked about this before, but we want to order blinds for the corridor, right across from the Guilford room. In the summer especially, it's very, very hot there. The sun just beats in there. It's like a greenhouse. And the opposite happens in the winter, where it's kind of cold there because the windows. So I know he's working on ordering those, and I'll have to check on where we are with that, but that's something we'll, be a little improvement to the hallway there.
Awesome.
Oh, the only thing else that mentions the sidewalks, we had in our capital budget, improving the sidewalks around the community center. Some of the slabs, concrete slabs are sinking, so it was kind of a trip hazard. And when I mentioned that at the Board of Selectmen presentation, they want us to do it immediately, not wait till next year. So that got done last week. The company comes in, they drill a little hole in each concrete pad, they pump some slurry of concrete in there that raises up the pads. So it reduces that trip hazard. They were sinking enough that I think in some cases there was an inch, maybe inch and a half. The concrete sidewalk was lower than the curb, so we were concerned about people catching their toe on that curb and falling. So the Board of Selectmen asked us to go ahead and do it now and not wait till next year. So that got done last week.
So then we get to adjust our budget.
Well, they'll take it out because they knew they did it now instead, so that'll come out. Yeah.
Rick, a silly question, but wouldn't the sidewalks fall under Public Works and not Park and Recreation?
Well, they're at our building, so I guess not. Well,
No, I mean, are you talking about the sidewalks along the perimeter along the street or the interior along the building?
Interior along the building. Yeah.
Okay. Now I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't clear on that. It was mostly on the north side of the building where they were the worst.
All right, so if there are no other questions about reports, we'll take them as read.
Oh, just one quick question
Yep.
about regarding Terry's report on the bus use. Are we do we have enough bus drivers for the buses and the use that we have?
I think so. Terry's, I think, on her way to the meeting tonight to go over that. So if you want to hold her report till she comes, she was planning on being there tonight. Because I think she also wants to talk about a scheduling program that we're looking at for helping schedule drivers and schedule the routes and the pickups.
All right, well, we can put Terry's report to the side, and if she comes, we can go back to it.
Address it afterwards if you want. And-
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
And I'm sorry, I didn't have a report because I kind of haven't been there. But I've been working, of course, the capital budget, I finished up and presented that. The operating budget I've been working on at home. And then I was coordinating getting the benches will be going up on the green soon. The brickwork was done by Guerrero. They got it done last week. And I was still coordinating a lot of that with John Cunningham from the Green Committee. Trying to still help make some things happen as I was recuperating here.
Well, thank you for continuing to work on that while you're recovering. We have Eagle Scout Ryan here. So can we get a motion to move Ryan's presentation up to now so that he does not need to sit and listen to us unless he would like to?
So moved.
You must have homework.
Are you ready?
So we appreciate.
Yeah, no problem. So we can start our commission reports with staff representative standing field committee. Rick, that's.
I was not able to attend. I was out of town. Rick, did they have a meeting this past Monday?
They
before
did.
Thanksgiving?
One of the main things they were talking about, John, I wasn't able to go, of course, but they're seeking new members. So I know Ellen had sent out to them the contacts for all the youth sports groups to try to solicit people to be part of that committee. There's some that are less active now and some have dropped off. And so they're trying to build it back up to whatever I can't remember what the original number was, but they're reaching out to all the sports groups and see if they'd like to have some representation on it.
Green committee, you said that the bricks were done for the benches.
Yeah, and our crew was going to actually install the benches. That was not part of the contract, but the brickwork was, and the footings for it. And I think Tony met with the contractor today to get show him the location where the footings actually have to go. And they'll have to take out those bricks that they already put in, put the footings in, and put the bricks back over the top. And
That's the ones that are the pods.
Yeah. The concrete patio, if you want to call it, are there already. Those got done last week.
Awesome. Land acquisition, no report. And splash pad, no report. Moving right along tonight. Unfinished business, Jacob septic system.
I spoke with the engineer today. The plans have been completed. It's underway. He sent it to the health director for her review. So hopefully that'll be going out to bid soon, because I've kind of made it clear that we didn't do it last spring. We didn't do it this fall. It's got to be done before we open up in April. So it's hopefully full steam ahead now, but at least the specs are done and kind of being reviewed and ready to go.
It's been on the agenda for a long time, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Mhm.
Very long time,
Okay.
since last winter, I believe. So a year. Disc golf expansion.
Nothing new. We still have the 3 T pads that our crew will complete during the winter. You know, as I mentioned, the Coast Guard did all but 3 of them on the long course. And I believe Ellen, I don't know if he contacted you or if I forwarded you. I think Craig wanted to run a tournament maybe in March, maybe a pro tournament there, I think. So we'll have to just make sure we get those long T pads in and ready to go by then. And then we could take that off the agenda, I think, because we've had it on for a couple of years.
I love taking things off. There's
Yeah.
always
Something to add back.
Exactly. That'll be filled. Request for more pickleball courts. We had a pretty lengthy conversation last month as well as the month before. It's in our budget.
So if you want clear, we could take that off going forward because it's something in the budget now anyway.
Yeah.
If you think, why is it?
Before we do, I have a couple of comments on that one. Not that I'm doing a reversal of my original desire to expand the pickleball courts, but I want to take a pause for a second. And I wanted to ask Rick about some other options that I thought of when I'm driving around town. Rick, the basketball courts at the police station, would that be eligible to be lined for pickleball courts and then because they're not, the basketball courts, from what I can tell, are not used during the daytime. And it seemed like that would be an opportunity for the adult leagues to play pickleball at a fairly nice facility. Do you have a different perspective on that?
I don't, other than there are a lot of people that play. I don't know how, well, I don't know if the park is any different, during the day than it would be if people play basketball. But, there's that business there and police and fire department cars parked there. So I'm not, parking might be an issue there. Can it be done? Yeah, I mean, we can, pay somebody to line anything. They'd have to have portable nets, of course. And they're looking more for the permanent pickleball courts, which, at Bittner, we would add 3 more permanent ones up there with our current plan. But I'll tell you though, John, that if there's lights and they start playing pickleball there, they're going to want to play at night there.
Well, and also wasn't part of the hope was to have them all in one location so that the groups and the classes that they're doing, it was all at one time. The way that
Yeah.
she teaches the classes, it's like they rotate.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. But to your point, John, if we have to expand even more beyond Bittner at some point, that's certainly something we can consider.
Well, Bittner is a long-term project. I mean, this is something that we can do in the interim in order to increase or satisfy the demand of participation by the adults. I'm just looking at options here that would give us a quicker payback than with the expectation. For all we know, we may not get the funding for expansion for pickleball courts up in Bittner. It just may not happen. I'm looking at that as a realistic option that may happen to us. So in the interim, there was another option I was looking at too with regard. I know this would be intruding upon the Board of Education, but the high school has what, 6 tennis courts at their
Yeah.
facility? 8?
Yes.
8. So I was thinking the last 2 courts that are adjacent to the Board of Education, I don't think, I've been there during rare occasions during the daytime. I've never seen those 2 courts being used for physical education by the high school. Now, again, is there a compromise that we can make with the Board of Education and say that those 2 courts, which are adjacent to the Board of Education adult property, could be used also for pickleball courts? as a short-term basis until we get funding for a new system.
Well, just two comments. One is they won't allow anybody to play there during the day. So daytime use would not be allowed, except in the summer, of course. But I mean, spring, they won't allow it. And I've been told by, I believe it was the athletic director, maybe Ellen, you've heard this too, is that they weren't very supportive of putting any lines other than tennis lines on those courts there, because they're used for CIAC competition. Do they use the lower ones for that? I'm not sure. But we didn't get a lot of positive response to lining them for pickleball. We did look at that one point, but they would be restricted because it's on school grounds, for any use before school, while school's in session.
Well, again, I see a massive that's potentially underutilized, especially during the summertime. Tennis, I don't want to interfere with their tennis program or physical education, but at the same time, we have people over here asking for a demand for use of courts, and we have empty spaces that aren't being used. I just like to see if there's a way that we can compromise between the two of them. And the third one was the same one that I sent an email to you and to Claire about. Maybe you said that you had already approached the economic development about using the empty Walmart facility as for maybe pickleball. It has lights, it has heat, it has bathrooms, it has parking, has everything except people in it. So it seemed to me that there's a way to, maybe there's an opportunity to pursue that asset. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but I would like to find some way to pursue that with a little bit more diligence, simply because of the fact that it's there and it's not being used. And that would satisfy a great deal of demand of people, especially during the wintertime or at night when they want to play pickleball.
Yeah, well, of course, it would really be up to the owner of the property, not so much the economic.
Absolutely.
She certainly could help advocate for that, but I mentioned that idea to her. She said that I don't think there's any definitive plan for what's going to happen with that property yet. Some of the ideas that were originally talked about sound like they're not going to happen. So she did mention that there's a possibility of segmenting it and dividing it to maybe three spaces, two smaller and one. But she mentioned one of those spaces, maybe it could be pickleball, but is the town going to buy it or lease it? Is it going to be Parks and Rec running it, or is it going to be some private developer?
Well, we charge the adult leagues for use of the fields for softball and for soccer. I don't see why there wouldn't be any discouragement to ask those who want to use pickleball. I'm sorry to use the phrase pay as you go, but again, it just seems like it would be something worth pursuing, rather than just leaving on the back shelf.
I would just say some of the folks who play pickleball now indoors play them at the racket club. So there is an option for pay as you go, And I would wonder about, the facility inside Walmart, the floor or whatever, actually being good to play pickleball on. And then the liability for everything would have to be.
Oh yeah, there's a whole raft of questions that have to be answered. But the idea, you have to have a single step. You got to work forward. You got to make a decision.
I don't disagree that we should look for other options. I just don't know if that's the best one to use a Walmart. I don't know.
I'm going to use an old cliche that I used in my previous business career. Ideas are free, but implementation costs money.
Of course.
So, the idea is free. It's out there, and I just like to see, as a board, maybe we could, or to find the right people to ask the right questions to the right people to see whether or not there's a opportunity. If there's no opportunity, then we just let it go.
But spaces in a lot of malls are being converted to other uses.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Retail is not exactly the shining star it once was. And I don't see I'm like Rick, what the economic development people said, there's really not going to be that much of a use for that facility. I mean, other than something creative.
I have to say this as a hockey parent. There could always be a rink there.
It could always be. I mean,
That's a great
there's a
idea.
lot of, I mean, you
Yeah.
could do half,
I've been
you
told,
could do
though,
basketball, you
you
could
wanna make
do,
money, you gotta put two and bring it in.
it is a big store.
Right?
But again, going back to finding out who is the right person, the liability, insurance, all of that, I'm sure would be.
Especially. if
Yeah.
You have a
and then
lot
the
of questions.
Yeah,
But somebody has to be able to say, let's do it. If not, then just, it's just a concept. I mean, I see something that's being underutilized and I see people wanting a place to play and I just, I'm looking at 1 and 1 equals 2 on this area.
doesn't hurt to throw ideas out there.
Right, she might not be the zone.
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk to our economic development director again and just, see if there's any possibility of it and what might have to happen if it were to happen. Even like you said, on an interim basis, it could be temporarily lined and temporary nets go up, but I'll be happy to look into that some more.
Okay.
Okay.
Did we still need to, before it went to first selectman, find out about the extension at Bittner with the courts, or was that something we'll discuss later if they decide, yes, you can have the money for it?
So it's in the budget, so the budget would include extending the concrete, like we talked about where the rocks are, the stone is on, along the edges there. And I believe it was 120,000, but that included making all that everywhere with a stone now, the whole 200 feet on each side, so 400 feet of concrete, and then putting in 3 permanent posts on the existing basketball court, straight, clean it all off and make it all pickleball lines, take the basketball lines off, and then turning the skate park and then moving the basketball court by the skate park. That was all in that $120,000.
But we had already found out from the, and I can't remember what his position was, that it did line up with the post, it was gonna be able to line up with the post beams that were already in the concrete.
Yeah, I met up there before I had to leave for a little while, and with the engineer and a geotech engineer, and it sounded like they were saying, yes, it could work.
Okay. Perfect. Bittner Park North restroom and access.
That's kind of part of the whole thing. That includes, they said if we're gonna put, do some improvements up there, we have to improve the access to go up there. It's too steep, really. It's not ADA compliant, that sort of road that goes up. So it'd have to extend down toward, into the parking lot some to make it a less steep grade. So that's something we have to look at too.
Terry, are you ready to go over your report and share your?
Yeah.
So why don't we pause our unfinished business and let Terry share her November report and any other fabulous news that you have.
This is the time of year we start slowing down on trip, so you'll start seeing a drop in the number of trips. We're still going to do in December. One thing is in February, even in March, because of concerns about weather and about being able to get a refund if we do something like theater. There are some nice theater things this winter, but if you end up hitting a bad day, they won't refund it. And I don't know how to do that. Let's see what else. We do have our big Rotary lunch is coming up next Wednesday. Rotary takes care of all that, the free lunch. We're at about 170 seniors who signed up for that. We did have a big lunch a week ago. We had a birthday lunch, Thanksgiving lunch, and karaoke lunch. A lot of fun. We had about 200 seniors that came to that. And then December 16th is our Christmas lunch with entertainment. I will be looking for a couple people, if anybody's ready to serve. I need Matt is coming over, and then the others will be doing sort of my teams. When we have that many people, as you saw, we do set up like vehicles. That seems to be the most efficient way.
It's the 16th.
That's on the 16th, the Friday.
I'll volunteer.
And what time is that?
If you're gonna serve, we usually try to get there about 10 of, quarter of 10 of.
What?
So you can get an apron of you.
Okay.
All right, hanging out.
I know, just well. We need a few minutes.
Okay.
You know, if you wanna get an apron and get some gloves on and everything.
I'll volunteer Bob as well.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Helen and Karen did a good job. Thanksgiving one, too. Let's see, a couple of new things. Let me bring those up now, Rick.
Yeah, you can bring them up now.
Okay, we are looking at investing, be about $860 a year. Probably out of reimbursables, a bus scheduling system. The bus use is definitely back up pre-COVID. These are 3, some days we can have 4 drivers going at once. Right now, this is an example, we have an Excel sheet that brought a few samples, but this is, you know, that's how crazy the bus schedule can be. You know, I'm just trying to, you know, track it and get the right number of people at the right time and then return, so another sample of the day. The color coding is for medical versus coming to the community center versus shopping, something like that. We always give priority to medicals. So I did research a few different companies. Yeah, that was fun. That was a real fun day. I did research a few companies that do scheduling and dispatch. They felt our system was actually, you know, too small. I mean, these are very expensive, right? More for transit, that type of thing. But I did find one called Schedule Plus that's used in about 6 to 7 towns in Connecticut. I did call references, everybody's happy with it. It's a scheduling program. We had a demonstration on the computer here. I think, you know, I had a bus driver sit in, he agreed to help. They'll definitely help Patty or scheduling dispatch person. We'll be able to do some of the reports but now we're kind of done manually. So that will be something that get that in on the demonstration too. That we think it's worth that amount of an investment that we can buy it for a year. We are the scheduling dispatch services. These are available, you know, I do it. I don't do it. So anyway, that was, if anybody would like to see a sample of it, we can, you know, we recorded it so we can show you how it works.
Jerry, how is it done now? It's like people just call up on the phone?
Yeah, well, it won't necessarily replace that so much because a lot of the seniors, there is a way that they can do some of the self-scheduling, but most of the people that we service that use the bus are not going to be able to schedule themselves. There might be a few that can, but most of them are still going to call. But it'll be able to be, you know, put in, and then this will sort them by time, type, as opposed to just an Excel, you know, spreadsheet that is constantly having to be updated. Because I know we always say you need like 3 or 4 days in advance, but we don't need really.
Yeah.
We can accommodate some.
And the cost would be how much?
It's actually like a subscription. You don't purchase it. You subscribe to be able to use it, and it's about $800, a little over $800 a year.
Okay, and that would obviously make your job a whole lot easier.
It'll definitely help Patty. I think.
Yeah, okay.
When we saw on the way the system works, you know, when we weren't quite as busy, it was manageable with an Excel sheet, but we're definitely back up, you know, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So there's like 3, even 4 drivers going at the same time.
Can you see that, something like that being used for other things?
They do actually are able to do things like programming, like the rec track stuff, but we're looking at it mostly as a transportation thing right now. I think rec track is working pretty well.
Okay.
You know, I think we'll get our hands wet with the transportation part.
Okay.
They do the training and are available for questions and everything. And to me, it was a very reasonable cost for what it hopefully will benefit. Patty was very excited about using it. And a few of the towns that I've talked to are very willing to, let us go and observe how they use it. They're very happy with it. Wallingford uses it, Woodbridge, Marion, and Wallingford has a pretty big program like ours, so I mean, they were very happy with how it helped, relieve some of the pressure of the schedule.
All right, thank you.
Terry, just to clarify, $860 a year or per month?
No, that's a year.
Per year,
Yeah,
okay.
that's to get the use of this system. We don't own it or anything like that. You just subscribe to it.
Is it an online system or do they send us a file that we use internally that they update on a regular basis?
We like subscribe to utilize their system. So, but we will be able to put the people in, we won't be able to put people in. A limited number of people might be able to schedule themselves. When we get to that point, we'll test it out with some of the seniors who are able to do it. But I do think most of our people will be able.
So it's like a magazine
But
subscription.
I think what he's asking is if is it online where you're logging into their server to put the information in, or is it on
No,
your
it's
server
on-
here?
it's on.
So
No,
you get
yeah.
something to download, put it in.
Yeah.
What's the security system that's attached to it?
I mean, we didn't do that specific, but I said it's utilized in quite a few towns in Connecticut.
Okay.
We're very happy with it. I can, ask a little bit more about that.
I would be concerned about the security of the information that we in there.
Yeah, the woman that we were dealing with was very knowledgeable, very helpful. And so, yeah, I can get a little more information on that. Yeah, because we are putting in people's addresses when we utilize it.
But you're saying it's on your system, not on theirs.
That's my understanding, but I can verify that.
It would be our security.
Web-based? Terry, is it web-based?
Well, if people can sign up for it, it
Well,
must, I think it.
I
sounds
mean,
like
I think it has to be too,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be
I
hosted by
think I
them.
remember her.
Right, I think.
Those are all.
Better be attached to a VPN or be advisable to use it.
Well, it's not, they're not reinventing the wheel, and people already use this program.
Yeah, but so that was just Connecticut. There are states, but there was about 8 or 9 towns.
And these other towns you spoke to, they didn't,
They love it.
yeah, they didn't talk about any problems they've had with it. Okay.
There's no problem at all with it. Very happy with it.
If I remember, I no long-term commitment to it either. I think we have to sign up for 5 years or something. I attended the presentation with her, and it was really would make the Patty and Terry's life a lot better, a lot easier. It'd be a huge improvement, much more efficient than what we're doing now.
So you're saying it's a 5-year subscription that there's a 5-year?
I'm saying I don't think it is. I don't think we're
Oh,
locked
okay.
in.
So it's a yearly. I mean, if we try it for a year and it doesn't work, we can drop it. We don't have to renew it. It's once a year. We just don't own the system.
Right.
Don't buy it and put it in. It's the computer, but I think it's worth a try. For that. Money.
Are you looking to make a motion if we?
Rick, do we have to, if it's coming out of reimbursables, and it's under 1,500, do we have to make a motion? Or it's under 1,000, so.
And it's up to you. You don't really have to, I don't think. It's like, to me, it's like a program expense. We spend things on programs all the time. But I think we want to bring it to your attention because I think it's a way of making staff more efficient. And the cost was, I was kind of stunned at how reasonable the price was for it. And I would suggest we take it out of the program accounts. It's really program related. The bus trips, bus rides are a program. And it's, again, it's very, very affordable.
I would prefer having them just to have the record in our minutes.
Okay, well, we usually don't make them over a certain amount, but that's okay. So can we get a motion to approve Terry purchasing a subscription for a bus scheduling system out of the program account?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yay, Merry Christmas.
Oh, schedules plus.
Okay.
May I say something about the buses and the drivers? My office is right next to the physical therapy where the park and rec drivers are continually bringing people in. And people who have trouble getting on and off the bus and they use the whole thing in the back with the wheelchair. And they are the most delightful drivers. I always run out and offer them either coffee or a bathroom or something, but they really care for everyone they drive. And I've always been really, really impressed with them. So please pass that on that your spots are watching. That they do a wonderful job. They're really,
I'm very lucky, the drivers are hard, people with CDLs especially are hard to find right now. And my drivers are ready this morning, I had somebody, driver calling sick, at 7:30 in the morning, I was calling somebody else and asking them to come in and they just, not come in, they really are wonderful.
I've been the recipient of that service the last couple of weeks. I gotta say, the drivers are great. They're they drive under the speed limit, I think.
Awesome. Terry, if there's nothing else, you are free to leave and go enjoy your evening. Okay. Ryan, are you ready? All right, so can we get a motion now to move Ryan's Eagle Scout project up?
Can I make a motion to move the project up, Ryan's project up?
second.
I'm sorry. I thought
You know, we need to, so.
we don't have our microphone or, so I guess we don't need them.
No, right.
But if you want to stand over here and you can use the table if you have anything you need to put up or anything, that way everyone can see you.
Yeah, I shared one with, or I shared my presentation with Mr. Maynard. I don't know if you can like pass that on this if you're using Zoom.
Rick, are you able to bring up his presentation and share it with us on Zoom?
No, I wouldn't be able to do that, I don't think. But just in a nutshell, I can speak for Ryan. He met with me a couple of weeks ago at the beach. He's interested in doing some boat racks. And Lawrence, I know you're all familiar with this, but the ones that are adjacent to the private property to the east of the beach area, that's the only space right now. It looks like we can add any. So Ryan's, I think, willing to build 2 more racks there. And last I checked, we had a little over 30 people on a waiting list. The 2 racks will accommodate 30, 15 each. So that's the location he's planning on putting it. It's a need that we have, and we've been kind of hoping a scout would come forward and want to build some more. Most of the racks that are there were built by Boy Scouts. Ryan, I think I gave you the plan of the little blueprint of how they were built by former scouts. I think he maybe has that, but anyway, I'm sorry, Ryan, I don't think I have that. I wouldn't, from my iPad here, I don't think I could share it.
That's all right, Brian, why don't you just talk to us about what made you do this project?
Yeah, do you want me to stand over?
Yeah, you can stand up so we get a good view of you. We're a nice group.
Unfortunately, I have to show you guys some visuals because these things look very nice actually. And if you,
Sure, that's good. Start with her. I know I'm the mouth here.
So, the main idea I have is just, I'm gonna be, building some kayak racks, on Jacob's Beach, right? There's already plenty of these having already been built. I'm just building 2 more, one off of an already existing rack and a freestanding one that, other, racks in the future, like if more scouts or more people, want to make more racks in the future, they can build it off of it.
Oh, good. Thanks. That sounds like room for expansion.
And so these will cover 30 of the 31 people who are currently waiting. They look, I mean, the racks themselves look something like that, right?
And that's what's there now, similar to what's there now, or that is what's there now.
Yes, that is what's there right now. Like this is exactly what it looks like.
Yep, I have had kayaks down there, so.
And I kind of just made some designs here. Just I don't know if you wanted to see the schematics.
Yeah.
And there are some other ones as well, like this top view.
Looking down, like from up here going down.
Yes.
So
looking down.
How did you do those designs?
Well, I based it off of a design I was already given,
Right.
by a previous scout who did it in the past. And I put in some like, more like online software.
Okay.
Just so I can like see it better,
Yeah, nice. I
better represent it.
was gonna say, do you have a design software that you use? It's very good.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of, it will be about 16 feet, like in terms of like actual length by like 8 feet, like width.
Mhm.
As most of them are, as well as like 6 feet tall. And yeah, 15 kayaks each for a total of 30.
So is that 3 in a tier? Is that what they are? 3.
Yeah, so there's 3 rows,
Right.
which each can hold like 5 kayaks each.
Okay.
Um,
Do you have other scouts work with you?
I will be in terms of building the actual project. So far it's just been me because I'm like drafting the idea.
Right.
But
But the actual construction, you'll have people who will help?
Yeah.
You can delegate?
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have probably at least 10 scouts because it's gonna be,
Oh, okay.
it's gonna be a lot of heavy lifting.
What's your timing?
I plan to do it like as soon as possible, once I get approved. I will likely be working on through December to January. Hopefully get finished by the end of January.
It's cold.
Sorry.
Very close. Okay.
You do the actual cutting and preparation of this? Do you do it actually on site or do you have a workshop somewhere?
I don't have a workshop, so I plan to do on site.
Okay.
How much?
Yeah.
There's always that
Have an
question.
estimate?
In terms of like total costs, which is freestanding rack, the additional rack, as well as like $50 and possible additional miscellaneous costs, whether that's like additional bolts that may be needed or things of the like, will be $1,687. And this is a very big overestimate because the wood I was looking at, in terms of like pricing for lumber, first of all, it's based off like online Home Depot prices. Like if we went for a more local mill, I'm sure I could get better value. As well as I use some slightly larger lumber as well as like slightly larger, more expensive bolts that were purchased individually in terms of pricing, but if you bought them in bulk, it'd definitely be a lot cheaper.
Okay.
And do you have to fundraise as part of your project or?
I don't have to fundraise. I was planning on asking the Parks and Rec for funding.
Claire, can I comment on that?
Yep.
A while back, I think the commission made a policy that if it's a project that we want to have happen, it's something we asked for, that we would fund it. Because it's something we need to do anyway. If it's a project, they came to us like a little library, for example, that maybe not something that we were specifically looking for. But beyond that, remember, we got a sizable donation from a woman who wanted a kayak and a paddle boat there. I'm sorry, paddleboard. She wanted a rack, and we didn't have a rack available, but the fund she gave us, we said we would put toward building more racks. And we have more than enough available for the amount that Ryan is asking for.
That's great.
Excellent.
That's wonderful. So your fundraising is done. That's what well done. That's the quickest fundraising I've ever seen.
Anything else you want to share about your project or anything?
I mean, I have pictures if you guys would like to see them.
Maybe Rick, you could email to the commission just his presentation at some point so we could just have a look. Not that
I
it's
just
gonna
forwarded
change.
to Ellen's email, so I don't know if you could bring him up or not, Ellen, on that, but I just sent it to you. But if not, we can get it out.
Right. You're just replicating the boat wrecks that are there now.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I don't need to see any pictures, I mean.
Yeah, we're
boat
gonna-
Racks are racks.
Racks are right.
And we know that they work and they've lasted. So, I mean, if you're following that method, then.
I've had a kayak down there on that top shelf. It's tough.
I'd like a Boy Scout down in there too.
Mine kept falling through the middle as I was trying.
So can we get a motion to approve, Ryan's 2 boat racks with the funding from Park and Rec in the amount of 1687 if more needed?
I would make it a nice round number, like a 17 house.
Perfect. Do you want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
So well done.
Thank you,
Well
Ryan.
done. You did great.
Thank you all.
Thank
You
you.
did great.
Go out and buy your Parker now.
Fortunately, one.
The only thing I want to add clear is I did mention, I think to Ryan, we'd have to check with P and Z to find out if they need to approve more racks down there. I think I did put a call into the town planner before I took my leave. So I'll follow up with her and find out if we need to do a site application.
One final question, what is your deadline for having this done?
For having this done.
Yes, when is 18?
It's, 18, like June.
This coming year?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just.
That's
eager
why
to
you
get it
get-
done in
that's where you
January.
want to get it
Winter, yeah, it's good. It was a winter birthday.
No, I hope I have like a ribbon cutting ceremony.
I know.
So we can. I hope you invite us to all come down and see the finished product.
Yes,
I would love to.
Yeah.
And then we will go
It would
put
be
on our
nice.
parkas and go down to the beach and celebrate your
Beach in the
success.
winter. Perfect. All right, thank you, Ryan.
Hold me ahead there, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
18 is the 18.
So going back to our agenda, we were on unfinished business 5-year capital budget.
Just, it's been presented and it's in the hands of the Board of Selectmen, and Board of Finance.
Awesome.
So when is the meeting for the capital budget?
That was last month.
That
Or
was
no, it was right before your leave day.
Yeah, it was November 15th.
So this is still under review at this point, is that correct?
Correct.
By the Board of Selectmen or Board of Finance, or both?
Board of Selectmen first and then Board of Finance.
Okay, that's the progression.
Yep, but they were, Board of Finance members were at the meeting too, on Zoom. So there, some of them were present and saw the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Lacrosse request for scoreboard at Long Hill. Last month we approved that, correct?
Yep, and they're now working on the site plan with planning and zoning for their approval. And once that's done, they'll move forward and put it in.
Awesome. So that'll be coming up too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, new business, operating budget, that was on your, place setting before you came in. Rick, were these just the pages that you wanted us to focus on?
Yeah, Ellen, did you make those copies?
Correct. Yep.
So the pages you have should be, they're Jen went a little farther than she needed to. She included a lot of stuff I haven't done yet, like last year's budget for like, we don't have any salary information yet or utilities. And, we all know utilities is gonna be tough this year. Cause if you watch the news, they're saying, it's going up 50 to 100% for electric bills. And so that's gonna be, if that's the case, community center, instead of 32,000, it could be $60,000 next year. So utility is going to be very, very tough. But we got to get the numbers from the finance office before I can plug any of that in. I don't know what the rates are going to be for the town, if it's different from homeowners. I assume it is. So really the starting page, it should be the building maintenance, page 8.
Yep.
Everything before, there's a lot of narrative stuff and, the things that we don't have yet. So building maintenance, I don't really have to go through everything probably, but the only increases, we did pretty well holding the line on most things. It's really cleaning supplies. And what I do is I go back over, Jen gives me a report out of Rec Track of what we spend in every one of these. I know what we spent on trash bags, on electric supplies and hardware. I know what we spent last year. So I look at how did we do last year and what do we think we need this year? And so in most cases, we're in pretty good shape. The only thing is the cleaning supplies have gone up quite a bit. We spent, I think about $6,800 last year. So that's why I put in 7,000 this year. Floor maintenance a little less. You know, we don't have to do the refinishing of the floors. We don't do them every year. I believe we did the exercise room this year recently. Everything else is pretty much HVAC. There were a lot of expenses this past year. Again, prices of everything are going up, so I put that up a little bit. But the bottom line is that it's not a big increase. It's about a 4.4% increase. And again, keep in mind that prices go up on things, and we're trying to hold the line as much as we can. That was our lowest increase. So then grounds maintenance, so several big increases here. The biggest one is Porta Johns. That's going up almost $3,000 because the pricing went up, and we were paying more now than what we used to pay for them to put them out and clean them every week. And you know, we keep getting asked to have more. Like we have to pay for the one at the marina. And you may ask, well, why are we doing it? Well, I would ask the same question, but we've been told that it's coming out of our budget. Same thing, the stump dump, we have to pay for one there for all year round. And so as we get these things added on, or we had to add one on for the tennis courts at the high school, which we never had one there before, but we got a lot of requests for that. So that was a new location we didn't have before. So, you know, all those things caused the price to increase. Really, the other biggest one is the office trailer rental. We thought we were going to be out of the lease by the end of December. We thought we were going to move into that 50 driveway, that building. We are using that for storage of equipment, but the facilities manager estimated the cost to upgrade that building and put a sprinkler system in to make it where the guys could actually be in there and Tony could have an office. It was something like $300,000. So we talked to Matt about it, and we kind of decided, well, it's not worth spending that money. Eventually, they're going to be moving the whole thing up north on Route 80 and Long Hill Road. So we went in for another 3-year lease on the office trailer, and this was some conversation with the first selectman about that. And so the budget this year was based on only 6 months. So we had to put on another 6 months. So it's that pretty much doubled that one. So all the increases are based on those things, the Porta Johns especially, and the office trailer rent. I mean, the other things are kind of small increases. Other contracted services, that's like septic pumping, any kind of electrical repairs, plumbing repairs. Again, this year we spent closer to $15,000 this past year. And we have 10 budgeted. So I don't think we need to do 15 every year. Sometimes there's something that comes up that, like, for example, this is the community center, not the parks, but that generator. We just talked about, we spent $3,000 or $4,000 fixing that generator. Well, something like that's not going to happen again next year. So I don't automatically say, oh, well, we spent 18,000, let's spend 20,000 next year, you know, because you look back at what caused it to be more than what we budgeted. And you got to use some common sense. So, but we did increase that because, there are things that just break down and you have to get repaired. So the bottom line there, it's about a 17% increase. It goes up from almost 80,000 to almost 93,000. That's a big increase. But the biggest driver of that is the office trailer rental. Any questions on any of those?
No, seems pretty standard.
Rick, I just have a question. Is there a summary page that lists all the accounts under one page?
There will be, but I don't have all the accounts yet, so I haven't done that yet. Because I don't have all the salaries, I don't have the utilities, and once I have all that, then we'll put that summary page. Field maintenance, kind of a moderate increase, about 5.8%. That's driven by, again, price increases for field marking paint. That's not a big jump there, but fertilizer it's off the wall. It's really anything to do with, petroleum products is it just skyrocketing. And so Tony and I talked about this. We held back a little bit on some of the products. we're trying to move more also toward organic fertilizers. They are still more expensive than the chemical fertilizers. The organic ones don't have petroleum in them, but organics are always more expensive. And so we're trying to move more toward that. We've been doing that. You see in 21, 22, it was 26,000. We went up to 31.5 last year. This year's 38. And again, it's just the cost of these products they're going up. John, we get a lot of compliments about our fields. It's because of the work that our guys put into them. It's because of the approval we get from you folks and the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance to give us a budget to do this. And if we have to cut back on some of these things, we're going to see a difference in the fields. And they're at a level now where they're really, really looking good. And a lot of it has to do with Tony and the work he and the guys do and the products that we have to do it.
Rick, is there a possibility that we could do a cooperative with some of our neighboring towns on fertilizer, such as Madison or Brantford, and pull our usages together in order to get a better price among the three towns together?
I don't know if it would make much difference, John, because all these are on the state bid. All the fertilizer and seed we get is on state bid, the state contract. Okay. So I don't think it really matters too much. It's a good thought, but it's not so much bulk. It's whatever the state contract price is. Whether you get 50 bags or 200 bags, it's the same cost per bag.
So the state of Connecticut is our supplier essentially, in the sense of the purchasing amount or purchasing cost that we get.
They're not just a supplier, but let's say if we get it from Site One, which is here in Guilford, or from Tom Irwin's, another company gets products from. When we do this, we have to get the state contract bid price and submit that when we go to the Board of Selectmen for approval. And if they're on the state bid price, it's supposed to be the best price you can get because the state has already vetted all these different companies and they got the best prices. And so, we go off that.
Well, there's always that clause at the end of that called subject to availability. If they, I've been with state bids before too, they may submit a low bid, but they may not be able to supply. What happens in that circumstance?
Well, we may have to substitute something, but so far we've been able to get what we need.
Okay.
So that's a big increase. That's pretty much the largest increase of anything here. Other than that, soil amendments is a little bit more. The soil amendments are things that something called silical. It adds calcium to the soil. It helps a lot with the absorption of the fertilizer, and it results in better soil conditions for the grass to grow. So Tony's been gradually building those things into the fields. Other than that, we're pretty much stable on everything else. Really, the biggest one is the fertilizer increase. It's about $7,000. Well, that is it. It's about $7,000. Our increase is about $7,000. That's really the main driver. Everything else is pretty simple. Uniform allowance. Each of our 8 guys get $300 by contract for clothing allowance, whether they get work boots or jeans and whatever they get, sweatshirts. They each get a $300 allowance. So that's pretty straightforward. The copier, I hope that number is still good. I haven't gotten the new numbers from Town Hall. That may go up a little bit, but I haven't gotten that from them yet. But it's been the same price the last few years. So I'm kind of hoping it stays the same for the lease of the copying machine. The drug testing and physicals, that's for our bus drivers have to get, Terry's every year they have to get a physical?
It depends on their age and medical situation.
Yeah.
Some are 6 months, most are a year, and a few are 2 years.
Okay. And then, they have to be drug tested. It's a random drug test. All of our drivers are in the pool and they get pulled randomly and we have to pay for that. And, or if we hire any new employees that have to go through what's called the HPE, it's Human Performance Evaluation. They got to go to a place in New Haven to be evaluated. Like if the job description says they got to be able to carry 50 pounds, for example, they test them, make sure they can carry 50 pounds, whether it's custodian, any of our maintenance guys, if we have any new staff, they have to go and get tested there. So that comes out of that account. Office supplies, that's gone up. Well, you know, again, paper supplies and everything we get for the office, prices have increased. So you see the increase there. It says 23%, but it's $1,500 out of our budget. It's not a big number. It's just, in that account, it's a 23% increase. The next page, the only thing that we keep it, we've taken out major events. We've been paying for those. That's really the fireworks. We're paying that out of the program account. Postage is really very minimal. That I think just the senior newsletters that get mailed out, and those are covered by the annual fee. The seniors pay for that. The senior meal subsidy, we're gonna have a conversation with the selectmen on that. Last year, they didn't want us to go up on that price. But Terry, our numbers are way over budget. If you go shopping, you know what we're talking about. And I think last year we predicted we were gonna be more like $60,000-$70,000, not 27,000. I think we were pretty close to that. This coming year, it's gonna be even more. So we had a meeting with Rose at the time, which she was chairwoman, and Matt and Meals on Wheels and Larry and Terry. And at that meeting, the selectmen want us to hold the numbers where they are, and they got other sources to fund it. So our budget didn't go up, but they're covering the cost. And I don't know if it's ARPA, I'm not sure where it's coming from, but I think that's gonna be a conversation we're gonna have because 27,000 will cover about 3 months.
Didn't we vote at another meeting after that to raise the price by a very small amount?
We did raise it, Terry, right?
Okay,
50 cents.
50 cents,
Yeah.
yeah.
We did. So that helps, but you know, we're still not getting.
Costs, and our numbers, I did do a summary of our numbers, and they just from 2021 was 38,000 total. 21-22 was 42,000, so that went up almost 4,000 meals that we're serving. And I compared the first 3 months of this year to the first 3 months of last year. It looks like it's gonna be up 1,000 or so again this year. So the number of meals that we're serving is constantly increasing a lot, and it varies whether it's in town or Meals on Wheels. A lot of it is Meals on Wheels. Right on COVID, the Meals on Wheels went up. But even our in the center now, it's 7,000 and 35,000 for Meals on Wheels, where the year before it was less. So it's just between Meals on Wheels, but they both lose about the same amount per meal. So really, it's not the normal where the more you serve, the better you do. Because we're losing on each meal, the more meals you serve, the actually the more you end up losing as a whole.
Yeah, so regarding that, I looked at Terry's numbers here. So yeah, we increased in the last 5 years, we've increased about 27% the number of meals. And right now we're on target, if we stay at the same number level right now, to be over 45,000 meals this year. And as Terry said, about 85% of that is Meals on Wheels. And so I'll mention this now. It's not really in this part of the budget because I haven't gotten the salaries yet. But I've met with our cook, Larry Santa Maria, and he strongly needs an additional full-time person in the kitchen. Again, look at the numbers of meals that we're doing here. It's not another body. It would be making one of the part-time people full-time. So we're not asking for another position, but having somebody there 40 hours a week or 35, 40 hours a week rather than 24. And so it will give us more hours for him to have more help in the kitchen. I've talked to Mitch about it. I've asked him when he's doing the salary figures for us to reduce the part-time account by that position, but add it into the full-time account. So we'll see a reduction. We should see a reduction in part-time, but an increase in full-time. And that'll be based, again, I think the justification is what Terry just pointed out. The numbers of meals are just increasing. They just keep going and going and going. And we can't keep doing it with the people we have there. So again, not any more bodies, but making one of those people go from 24 hours to 40. So having those additional hours would be a big help for the kitchen staff. Any thoughts on that?
Makes sense.
Sounds logical to me.
So let's see, then we're on the last page, 13. We made no changes in the office equipment. I'm sorry that it should say request 23, 24. Got to Jen correct that. It says 22, 23 there. But same number, 400 there. Permits, dues, and subscriptions. The dues for like NRPA, which is National Recreation and Parks Association, that Ellen, Taryn, Victoria, and I belong to, and this Connecticut Recreation and Parks Association. Those dues have gone up. And then the other CPA, that's Connecticut Parks Association, and any other, if Terry belongs to CASP or any of these senior associations, that they'll cover. That's what covers any dues for that. I think the dues for Rotary Club gets paid out of that for me to be part of Rotary Club, which, I represent the department there. The education and training stayed, I thought I put that up a little bit too. I got a feeling that Jen didn't have the new numbers here, but I think that went up a little bit, but not a big jump. Yeah, I'm sure I added some more to the parks trainings. The parks guys sometimes go to seminars, and the $500 doesn't cut it anymore. I'll have to get that corrected. I don't think she put that one in there. I apologize for that. And the last one, vehicle maintenance. I got to look at what our actual was this past year. I think it was over $40,000. We put in 55, but we have a grant that Terry gets for that gets applied to several different areas. Gets applied to bus drivers, to Patty's salary, and to bus maintenance. So the actual budget cost, instead of 55,000, would be 45,000. So we take some of that grant, put it toward bus maintenance. So 45 is the actual bottom line for that, not 55. So I did some quick figuring. If I added up what our numbers were last year, again, not counting utilities, the things I don't have, utilities and wages and salaries. So without that, the last year's numbers were 352,735. The new numbers are 383, 310. So it's about an 8.7% increase. And utilities, I think, is going to whack that way out of line. But that's going to be a problem for every department.
May have said this, Rick, but we skipped over, there's nothing in recreation equipment.
I'm sorry, in what part?
There was no request in there, so I didn't know.
On page 12.
On page 12.
Yeah, we haven't actually, the last couple of years, we didn't have anything in there. A lot of it was covered
Like
in
it
the
was
program
last year
account.
too.
They're program related, so it came out of the program account. So we didn't actually have anything in 22, 23 either, or 21. I'm sorry, 22 and 23. Right. This year there's nothing in there. That shouldn't be in there.
Okay. Rick, do we still need to have our little powwow session on the budget, or are we counting this?
Well, it's up to you. When I get everything finalized, I can at least send it out to everybody. And if you think you want to meet to discuss it, I also don't have the revenue numbers in here yet. Ellen did print out a report for me. I don't have those in here, but we did extremely well with, we did really great with beach passes. Picnic pavilion rentals, I think we're 200-300% over what we had thought we would need. I'm doing those off the top of my head. I think it was, I'm sorry, I shouldn't guess. I have it in a different room. I don't have it with me here, but the picnic pavilion rentals were way high. I mean, we brought a lot of revenue in. Room rentals are not great, where they're getting better. But there's a church that used to meet for years in the community center. Since COVID, they haven't come back, and that was our main source of revenue for the community center. But there are a lot of birthday parties that are coming back, and I think there was a wedding, not a wedding reception, a wedding shower recently that brought in, I think, $300. So those numbers are coming up. I think we should talk about at some point if we want to raise anything like any of the pavilion rentals, which I think we went up last year a little bit. We want to go up on that or boat racks or room reservations. I'd have to get that information out to you, what we're currently charging, and if you want to have some discussion of raising any of those, that doesn't go to the Parks and Rec department. Any of that revenue goes into the general fund. That would include boat racks, beach passes, picnic pavilions, room reservations, and showmobile rentals.
Rick, do we have anything on the front page of our website that says room rentals available or pavilion rentals available? Just to make it a little bit more aware of the fact that we have these special services available to the town.
Ellen, you could weigh in on that. You know the website.
I mean, it's not on the homepage of the website, but there's a policy and forms page that lists out, pavilion rentals, room rentals. And I would say, I mean, the community center, the room rentals, rooms are being reserved. It's just whether the groups are nonprofit or paying. And I think that, Rick spoke to that earlier about the church and things like that that haven't returned after COVID.
I was just thinking about just a little bit of advertising, just to say, if we don't have the availability, I can understand why you would want to do it, but if we have the availability, just to say, folks, in the month of May, we have 15 rooms available for at various times, at various rates. Because I think maybe sometimes people don't even, if they're new to town, they want to have a birthday party for their 13-year-old or 12-year-old, they may not know that they can come here.
Facebook is pretty good about that.
Yeah, I was thinking
It does show up in the parents group a lot, and they'll be like, where's the best place to have a party? And there'll be 15 people saying Guilford Community Center.
it's out there.
But it doesn't hurt
Facebook or
again to
whatever,
put it out there to say, hey, we're here.
I'm not a social media person, so.
And it does seem like you're pretty busy because I, for a variety of reasons, have reached out about rooms and you've been so helpful and been accommodating, but sometimes it takes, it's juggling, so.
For the, I mean, obviously I'm asking this off the top of head, so if you guys don't know the answer, that's fine. The beach rental, the pavilion rentals, since COVID, has that stayed the same, gone up? Because I know it was being used a lot during COVID because people could only do things outdoors. But like this past summer, now that COVID's kind of like, I mean, it's still here, but it's lifted a little bit. Did people still rent them as much?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Rick
I'm gonna
commented
I'm
earlier.
gonna go
those
find that
numbers
one.
were Quite a bit
And
this
there's-
past summer, real busy, yeah.
Well, I think besides, he's gone. Went to look for some. Just what I was gonna say is also because of, not just COVID, but it looks so great down there. And there's the platform where you've had music and there's great events that take place. I feel like people, just like in those parent pages about community room centers, people talk about the pavilions.
I went to the pavilion, best thing, I had to rent one every summer.
Yeah.
Or something.
It's so
Because
great.
it's just not that much money and you can have everyone, all the kids can go swim and they can go
Mhm.
play, the parents, you can barbecue, it's really a good deal.
And Rick just missed all of the praise unless he could hear it.
I just found the revenue thing that Ellen had sent me. So, let me see, I got two of them here. Sorry, I didn't have this all ready for you, but, beach passes, it was like 79, almost $80,000 we took in. I'm trying to find the pavilion rentals. We were budgeted to take in 4,000. We took in over 15,000 last year. So there's your answer to that one. Yeah, and I'm not surprised because Shauna, who does the reservations for picnic pavilions, she was constantly putting reservation forms on my desk to approve, and I said, "Are there any weekends left? Any hours left?" I mean, they just constantly, like day after day after day, I was getting 4, 5, 6 of them every day. So I'm not surprised. I knew that was going to be a big number for us. But again, we budgeted 4,000 and took in over 15. So almost 4 times what we had budgeted for it.
We don't get this money. It's not like we have sold $15,000 of pavilion rental and we have 15,000 to spend on
Right.
upgrading the pavilions. We don't get the money.
Correct. It goes to the general.
Just-
General fund.
Correct.
Which is like for everybody.
So is that true also of all the park and rec programs? The money that we get from, fitness classes and
That comes to the program account.
that
here.
does?
Right.
Is that something we talk about at another time as to how that's financed?
Lots of conversations on our
Okay.
program account. We'll fill you in on those. Remember this program. we record. Yeah. All right, so, you still have information to get for our operating budget. That has to be submitted, doesn't it, by like December 21st or something?
Yeah, usually around then. Yep. But I haven't seen the information yet. So and I asked today, they're still working on the salary and wage sheets. And the utilities and gas. I don't have what they're, what gas and oil is going to be yet, like diesel fuel, gasoline for the trucks, the mowers. I don't have that information yet.
Do we want to tentatively, well, you're not cleared to come back yet, so. Do we want to, we'll send out an email with the budget and conversation if we need to have a in-person or Zoom meeting to talk about it. Sound
Sure.
good?
As soon as I get everything, I'll put it together.
Okay, sounds good. So then the last thing on here is the request for the little library at Chatfinch, which was a correspondence in the beginning of the packet from Julia Varillo. Her family would like one at Chaffinch Island. There's a picture of what they would like it to look like. Does anyone see a problem, a need, questions, comments about location at Chaffinch?
If Rick thinks it's okay, then we should go ahead.
I agree.
They're maintaining it, they're paying for it, it's not gonna do.
Rick, does it fit in with like the new, like where, obviously you and Tony will talk about the placement of it so that it's not in any way with our new ADA walkway and all of that?
Yeah, we'll have to select a location for it.
Okay.
So Rick, you think it's a good idea or a bad idea, or
These things seem to be kind of popular. I know the one at Bidner gets used a lot right there by the playground. In fact, I was there one time and saw a parent with a child sitting on the bench reading a book. There were kid-oriented books they had there. The one at Jacobs, I don't know how much it gets used, but it seems like something that, they're sort of popular. People do tend to, other parks in other towns are doing it. So I don't see any harm in it. If they want to pay for it and put it in, doesn't really cost us anything.
So this would be the fourth library. We have Jacobs Beach, Dog Park, and Bittner Park Playground.
Yeah.
Who rotates the books?
People, so like you pick a book, you take one, you usually leave one or bring one back.
Yeah.
So that's why they're always always changing. It's a revolving door. Yeah, it was funny. I was down at Jacobs this summer and a little boy was like, "Mom, there's no more kid books in here. Someone needs to bring some back." He was very disappointed to go to the library and there was not a book he wanted.
Then go to the library and get some other
Yes.
books that didn't sell in the book then.
Yeah, somebody might do that. You never know. Motion, does anyone want to make a motion to approve a little library at Chapin?
Motion to approve a little library.
Second. All in favor? Perfect. So Rick, will you communicate with them to let them know that the commission approved it?
I will.
And that you guys will set up a time to find the correct location?
Yeah.
Was there anything that needed to be added to the agenda, new business, or are we happy with all of our discussions tonight?
There were 10 other things I wanted to bring up. No.
I'll see you in January. Not hearing anyone with new business, I'll Someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Darren. All right, then. Sue's seconding it. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Fabulous. Thanks.
At least like her.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Merry Christmas, Richard.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.